everyone, and welcome to AMA number 6. Today, we're going to focus on a few connected themes: the long-term direction of Unibright and Proof Matter, how the platform is positioning itself in the market, what role UBT plays in value creation and access, and where proof of execution fits into AI, enterprise workflows, and media use cases. As always, this is about clarity and direction rather than hype. My role is to keep the discussion structured. You'll notice a few faces are missing today. Some of the team is taking a break for the summer. So let's get right into it and start with the bigger picture, where this is all heading. So what is the current long-term vision for Unibright and Proof Matter?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. About the long-term vision, the idea is to establish Proof Matter as a trusted verification layer for digital execution. Sounds longish, but the idea is we're not tackling the question of how to put an asset on a blockchain. So we're not building another tokenization platform, but we are looking at all the use cases and asking ourselves, what do we need to do that the digital process actually happened as intended? So which signatures, validators, data points we have to add to make these processes much more valuable? And to give a longer answer and to make it clearer, we have a customer looking, for example, at invoice tokenization. And so it's not enough to just come up with a token and put an invoice on a blockchain. You have to look at the whole process to make this token valuable and add like verification that the parties involved are really creditworthy, that the companies exist at least. You have to make sure that the invoice wasn't factored before. So if you look at the whole process, you come up with a model where you see which data points and roles and auditors are needed to make these things much more valuable. And I like the invoice factoring use case because there you clearly see that you build value by adding this data points and verifications to the invoice. And then you can even come up with a model where you can sell the invoice itself, make it a tradable asset because it has become valuable and trustworthy. And that's the idea of Proof Matter, to come up with all these use cases, and invoice factoring just being one of them. We have digital licenses, we have AI, we have digital product passes, and make them much more valuable because we also see this regulatory pressure demanding a solution for all these use cases.
And I think the question was in detail a bit more, asking if it's an enterprise infrastructure layer or a specialized proof of execution solution, or even kind of a broader AI verification standard. I would say we're trying to tackle the most logical and best business case things first. So of course, it's an enterprise infrastructure layer. That's the idea because we are focusing on doing B2B stuff, and we are also building the templates. So it's not simply giving, enterprises a solution that they can somehow use, but really giving them a hands-on use case that will be developed for these individual clients point by point. And that's also, one of the reasons why we put together SPO Consulting with Unibright, because SPO is the developer of such templates and, of actual business software solutions. And the standard thing, I would say, comes naturally if the other stuff is successful. So we shouldn't plan to directly become the big standard. It's much better to just get included into enterprise things going on, enterprise infrastructures, and then the standardization happens due to success.
Yeah, and then perhaps we need to add the UBT token to the picture as well, because when you look at the new website and you see how Proof Matter is built and where the token is positioned, it's very important to make sure that we use the UBT token to incentivize the ecosystem, to get developers into the ecosystem, to get validators into it that stake UBT and can earn UBT. And there we have this token side of thing. But on the customer side of thing, it's built in a way like we did it with Unibright 1 as well, that for customers, the whole token is transparent. They don't need to think about UBT if they don't want to. They can just use the system like API-based. We have this connectors for different systems and an API, and we just invoice them, for example, monthly, and we handle the whole UBT and token side internally. That's what we learned is important for enterprise customers. But on the same side, we want to build this open and inclusive ecosystem. And that's why the UBT token is baked into it to incentivize all parties.
And one more thing that is important, perhaps, in terms of runway. So since so much structure has already been built, and basically what we're just doing right now is put together a lot of things that have been built in the past. We don't need a lot of clients to start with to keep everything sustainable. It's very easy for us to basically have even only a handful of clients to start with and just keep on going forever. So the focus is totally B2B, getting clients in. Like Martin said, it's going to be a typical thing where they pay a monthly fee or a yearly fee. And once it's covered with only a few clients, there's no risk of us running out of opportunities or running out of cash actually to keep things going.
Yeah, and to add some last insight, perhaps, as Pierre already pointed out, we are starting with 2 or 3 clients, and we're already doing this. And we are looking at these use cases, and by looking at them with the clients, we're learning which features we have to add to the platform, and thereby coming up to a natural evolution, which allows us then to even have better use cases because we added all the features needed with our first customers, and then roll out the platform to a larger audience. That's how we tackle it from the inside.
All right. Looking ahead over the next 12 to 24 months, roughly, what are the key milestones that you want to achieve?
Yeah, for the next 12 months, I'd say, perhaps it's 18 months. Of course, we want the platform being open and live. At the moment, it's a closed solution only for selected customers and interested parties. Of course, the platform has to go live, and then we want to have, as I said, 2 or 3 customers and use cases live, and thereby being able to share the live system and get more customers and more interest and ideas into the platform.
Enterprise software is becoming more deeply embedded into existing systems like SAP, ERPs, and AI workflows. How do you assess the risk that large companies or tech providers build similar verification solutions internally? So I guess the better question is, what do you see as your biggest competitive advantage today?
Yeah. I mean, the big companies like the ERP, the SAPs of the world or so, of course, they're building something, but it's a different approach. I mean, normally these companies are building centralized closed systems, and we are building the opposite, like an open infrastructure where everyone can join that is baked together by the UBT token. And looking at our past, these companies are always slower in terms of time to market. We have been faster, and that's our advantage, I guess, that will be one of the first companies offering such a platform. And I think the market is big enough. There's no need to think about competition from big companies.
And if you think about the large companies, they have their own solutions, which are, of course, 100% connected to their main software solution. So it's, of course, an integrated system, and it's a closed system, like Martin said. So we can aim for, and we will aim for all these people who don't use these very big software solutions, but at the same time, of course, also talking to the big ones. But I think it's kind of a two-step thing. We start with the mid-tier companies and build specialized solutions for them. And then, once that rolls, there's a natural appetite of the big companies to look at such small and very flexible and fast companies or solutions like ours. And then all of a sudden, of course, there's all things that can happen. But again, it's not our main goal to directly try to do some, pitching to the big ones and trying to get included into a major ERP. It's the opposite. We do our own thing. We're going to be successful with it. And then the large solutions will eventually knock at our doors, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and quite the opposite as well. We will, of course, offer connectors and APIs so that users of the big ERP systems like SAP can directly connect to our system, which makes these big systems like great marketing places for us.
Okay, let's move to the question many in the community care about most. how adoption turns into real value for UBT. So despite the progress with partners like Tunesat and Audiogroup, UBT price action and trading volume are still limited. How do you plan to address that disconnect?
Yeah, I mean, in general, the key difference compared to many other blockchain projects is that we are focusing on a usage-driven token economics because we have the utility token. There's no artificial token demand, but connecting UBT directly to access, verification, and participation in the proof matter ecosystem. And then, of course, only when the system grows and the ecosystem grows and the network participation grows, but then we will see token appreciation, so to say. Um, at this very moment where the system is used only internally with the selected customers and parties, there is not much buying pressure on the token, of course, but that's natural.
And I think that's also important. Again, I think we talked about it many times in the last AMAs. We are looking at real business and real opportunities and real value coming in from outside partners first with the software solution. And UBT is involved in a way that all these customers don't even notice it, because it's a hard sell to go to a big company and say, yeah, we have this incredible blockchain and utility token solution. Are you interested? This is not our game. The game is not crypto driven. The game is software driven, solution driven. And of course, it's kind of the secret thing that the crypto audience or the current holders of UBT, and then eventually, it will of course get more known within that community, that the token is being used in real life with more and more users, so that there is of course a speculative aspect to it, but it's nothing that we kind of focus on right now. It's going to happen naturally by the real world usage, and then people who are interested in the speculation aspect of all this, getting tokens now, because you can anticipate that the more tokens are being used and burned and the more traction is going on, of course, the price will increase. That is kind of the second layer of all this, which we are not actually really involved in, since the token is fully distributed, it's out there. We are looking at the business side, the real business side.
What incentives exist for long-term holders, and how do you create sustainable utility-driven token value beyond speculation?
Yeah, I think we pointed this out already. I mean, the long-term goal is to have an ecosystem and a network that really grows strongly by getting more customers on the network. And at the moment, we get really huge customers on it that create a lot of proofs and use a lot of UBT. Then you have the long-term goal and the idea which a long-term holder can fixate to. This would be my quick take on it.
At the moment, access to UBT is still fairly limited. Are there plans to improve accessibility through additional exchanges, centralized or semi-centralized options, or enterprise-friendly on-ramps?
Yeah, I guess that's a question we already had 2 or 3 times in the AMA before, but it's an important one, obviously, then. So I don't see the access to the token being limited at the moment. The customers we have are, and the people we know are perfectly able to buy UBT or sell UBT. But I get the picture, and I understand people wanting to see more exchanges, more liquidity, and obviously that's on our agenda. But first things first. So first we'll have the platform and adoption and growth in the platform, and then we'll see more, let's say, exchanges or other things, because that way it's more natural and much more easy to talk to those parties.
And again, putting on my kind of sales or business development cap, it's also always a matter of timing and of demand. So it's much, much better to wait for people to come up, exchanges, the right, I would say, influencers or people who are in that market, to ask, hey, what's going on with your token? We see that there's a real business going on. We see that it's being used. Then to, kind of proactively go to everyone and say, hey, why don't you list our token as well? Why don't you do this? Why do you do that? Of course, there will be outreach, not right now, like Marten said. We still have the Mika white paper to do, and there's a few things that have to be done anyways. But midterm, it's always better to become interesting for other people so that they get their own idea and see their own value in getting in touch with you, rather than being too proactive too soon.
So moving on from the token side to the underlying technology itself, how proof of execution is expected to work in practice. What are the main technical priorities for the proof of execution platform right now?
The main priority, I guess I pointed it out already, is moving from the closed system we're using at the moment into this scalable adoption where we open the system to the public and to more customers. And I think it's about metrics as well. How do we evaluate the usage? My idea would be not only to look at the number of proofs that are written, but we very much focus on the number of templates and real-world processes we can support. So that's something we have our eye on, because let's say a million meaningless transactions are in the long term less valuable than thousands of great proofs and supporting a lot of great use cases. So as always, we have this long-term perspective on the growth of the system.
Will proof of execution include zero knowledge capabilities, for example, to let an enterprise prove AI compliance without revealing proprietary data or internal logic?
I guess I take this question as well because it's very technical. Zero knowledge. I think we pointed it out on the current and relaunched website as well. We have a similar concept baked into the system at the current version, like we're using selective disclosure, which uses a special kind of a Merkle tree to do this. So what it solves is the problem of how can a customer only disclose certain data points and keep others private, and decide case-wise, or some role in the process may see data point 1 and the other role may see data point 2. We have solved this with our selective disclosure mechanism, but CK proofs and CK knowledge concepts are on the agenda for version 2, although we don't have current pressure to implement them. It's much more like we are ourselves thinking about what benefit this could bring. So yeah, the short answer would be we have it on the agenda, but we've solved the idea of selective disclosure already in the current version.
Could proof of execution eventually become a specialized verification or execution layer for other blockchains and protocols? Or is the focus intentionally limited to enterprise synchronization use cases?
So from my side, I can answer the second half of this question. Right now, it's definitely intentionally limited to enterprise synchronization use cases because we are totally focused on this B2B market. The B2B market is much, much easier to handle. There's so many layers you don't need, like, big marketing. It's just much, much easier. And if we're servicing B2B solutions, one of these or many of these may become the multipliers to the B2C market. So it's very clear B2B is where we position ourselves. In terms of specialized layers on blockchains and protocols, that's something for Marten.
No, I think your answer is totally fulfilling for the question.
Okay, I think that leads us into a broader trend that's shaping all of this, the rise of AI systems and the need to verify what they're doing. So, AI infrastructure today is mostly centered on compute, chips, and model development. As companies deploy more autonomous AI systems, how do you see the shift from building AI infrastructure to verifying AI generated actions?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think this is a great thing to come, not only because of the regulatory pressure we see here in the European Union with the AI Act. Companies increasingly ask, I don't know, which AI agent performed which action, which data was used in training a model or in the inference process. Was the authorization there for the AI agent? And because of all these questions and the regulatory pressure, this use case is one of the first we're tackling with the proof matter. And we believe that a fundamental requirement for AI to move from, let's say, experimentation and trying things into the business world, the fundamental requirement would be a solution that answers all these questions and complies with the AI Act, for example, here in the European Union.
And also talking about enterprise trends or AI trends, I mean, the last 2-3 years have been very much focused on the digital world in AI, which seems logical, but talking about LLMs and building these models who can do agents and who can, like all the GPTs you see. But it already starts to shift now into the real world. So if you talk about robotics, if you talk about defense, then all of a sudden, AI is not just something that people use on the computer, like end user facing. It becomes something that is heavily connected to the real world. And this is, of course, something where accountability and like proof of things that happen, reliability and security are becoming even more important, because all of a sudden you are in a space that is directly connected to the world we live in. So if it's about trends, I would say the whole AI trend is already now moving into from the virtual world much more into the real world, which is also very interesting for us.
There's a growing trend toward local AI execution instead of purely cloud-based AI. Is that decentralization of AI processing a positive development for proof of execution?
Just for everyone to know, I mean, decentralized AI, meaning that people are running their models on their own hardware, then you end up with a lot of more people or institutions running these models, and not only the big giant players we have at the moment. I'd say this is, of course, a positive development for proof of execution, because then you even have hundreds and thousands, or I don't know how many, institutions running models, and all these institutions or people need to somehow authenticate their AI processes and their agents, and to come up with a solution how to follow the regulatory pressure. So yes, this would be a scaling mechanism for our platform.
It totally expands the customer base. And obviously, it's much, much harder to implement something like this into one of the big tech companies, because it's very hard to get such deals right from the start. But if all of a sudden you have an additional layer of thousands of mid-tier enterprises, and we're not talking about individual people, we're really talking about still big companies who have their own solutions and so forth, you have a much better, or you have many more opportunities to get involved into these business processes. And then again, you're rising from the lower and mid-tier to the high tier of the big enterprises over time, naturally.
So how could Unibright position itself in a future where thousands of enterprise AI agents are executing tasks independently and need verification?
I guess we're already positioned perfectly for this, because we have the use case on the platform. We have the API where the AI agents and systems can connect to and use the template to prove what they are doing in the AI space, and to make their processes valuable and trustworthy. So we're set up for this.
And could proof of execution play a role in measuring AI activity, verifying usage, creating transparent billing, or providing trusted audit trails?
Yeah, trusted audit trails, that's the nature of what we're doing. Thinking about billing, yeah, of course, I guess there's some way to come up with a billing template. That's nothing we have on our screen at the moment. But I guess this shows that this whole proof of execution question can be transported to so many processes and fields. For us, it's much more to not lose the focus. That's why we are starting with 2 or 3 verticals and customers, and then scaling from there. And the more you think about it, the more use cases you find. But I guess that's a great thing.
From AI and enterprise verification, let's turn to one of the more concrete real-world adoption areas, media licensing and provenance. What is the current vision for using proof of execution in the media industry?
So yeah, that's something for me. when we talked about Tunesat, Marten was on one of these AMAs in the past. The media industry first through Tunesat is the music industry. So it's the publishing and the label side where music copyrights are being handled and have to be protected, and usage has to be proven and so forth. And Tunesat is a very good example for a B2B multiplier because it's a service company that services basically all important music industry players in the world. The next media industry layer on our side would, of course, be the gaming industry, since we are also very strong in that. It's, again, audio based. So, I mean, that's kind of the important thing right now, that we're talking about the kind of the whole digital rights and digital asset world of audio assets, which means music and sound effects. But from there on, there's a quick connection to the video and the visual space, because of course all these media production companies, let's take game companies, they are also working with bigger players, like people who work in engines or produce engines, and these engines are being used in the film industry as well. So it's kind of a self-growing network of things that we can do. But right now, it's the focus is Tunesat first, then the next one is gaming, audio, and from then on expand.
How do you see the credit layer concept evolving beyond simple payment? To give some examples, we've got attribution, provenance tracking, AI training, verification, micro licensing.
I think that the simple payments is not really it's not really the main focus even now. I would say it's already licenses and usage of content somewhere in the digital space, of course. Provenance is something that has to be integrated a bit more deeply, but it's also possible. And then the question is, is it provenance for original rights on the music side, or is it other things? So yeah, I would say the current focus is much more on the rights and licensing and usage side, what has happened when and how and by whom, then something has been paid. This is kind of a very simple usage, which, yeah, I would say we're already past beyond that state.
Are there discussions or explorations with major music or media companies to validate and expand this model?
Of course, as always, it's very difficult, if not say impossible, to mention any names and companies and so forth. Basically, what people have to do if they want to get excited, they can look up, the partners of Tunesat and Audiogroup, and of course, then get an idea who we can talk to. But it's also to be, clear and transparent. It's not like we're running out right now and trying to tell everybody what we're doing. The concept always is that we are building a special use case now through Tunesat, and this will speak for itself. People will start using it. It will be not only, in this, I mean, of course, it's one solution, but it will be many, many users using that solution. And once this happens, it's much, much easier, of course, to reach out to them and tell them, hey, do you actually know what happens there in the background? And we could expand this to other type use cases you have in your company, which are not connected to what we do with you right now, but it's an extra solution that they then already have experienced and that they know that they can trust. So this is the kind of logical step to expand.
The last question is, could a concept like a certified by Unibright verification layer help creators prove how their work is used?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we have this concept in place on a product basis, like proved by proof matter. This is a badge, for example, we have in the platform, which we can attach to the proofs we have on our system and on blockchains. And this badge is used when we have enough verification to be sure that this proof or process has become trustworthy and valuable. So yes, it's a thing we work on, and you can come up with a lot of more badges and extra services you can sell or add to data. That's the whole idea of making this data points more valuable by adding more trust to them.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of AMA number 6. Thank you, everyone, for joining as usual. It's great to have you with us, and we're looking forward to continuing the conversation. As a quick note, there will not be an AMA in July, but we look forward to catching back up in August. If there are topics we did not fully get to, we'll keep them in mind for the next session. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.